So we're focusing on the hip, keeping our hips free, understanding what hip connection is, why it's powerful. You've got an iliac crest on the front. These are your iliac crests. Michael has his feet on my iliac crest. I can try and do whatever to him, and I can barely kick him. If he puts his head on the mat, lifts his hips, he's bridging. In this position, this is like the ultimate in controlling this. I can't even kick him properly in the backside, right? There's just nothing here. So I obviously don't want this from the top. This is an underlying game that goes on, and you'll see people will try and throw legs aside and so on. But now I'm trying to get out of that. I just want pin sitting bones. Because if I can get here, I don't care if it's MMA, sport jiu-jitsu, whatever, he's in big trouble. And the reason he's in big trouble is I'm getting proper connection. I'm putting weight through his sitting bones, which sit on the back. This is the other side of the hip. So in a nutshell, your hip, for the purposes of our explanation today, begins on your iliac crest and it ends on this sitting bone. And we want to basically own the connection to that on our opponents, whether we're top or bottom, and we want to deny it to them. Yep. So the next bit of our drill on this is going to be, so Michael has his feet here, I'm fighting here. What does Michael not want to happen? We've just done it. What does Michael not want to happen? Sorry, so
pass the legs. Pass his guard.
I don't care about passing the guard yet. What does he not want to happen from what we've just done? He doesn't want me anywhere near his sitting bone. We're not going to get to passes yet. We're setting up the perfect pass. When I pass, I don't want to be throwing his legs out of the way, and then if he's got a really good guard, he's back in here, right? He's a better athlete than me. I like odds where I'm stuck on his sitting bone and he can't move. And I can punch him, I can pass, he can't move. That's what I want. I want to pin sitting bones. And I want to pin iliac crests. That's the game. So where does he really want his hands right now? What should he occupy his hands with? Sorry? Yeah. He doesn't want that leg anywhere near the sitting bone. So anytime he gets this, you'll see like where people grab and do little sweeps from here, like they'll do a push-pull sweep. Right, I love this sweep because you can just do it no matter what. But this is going to be our game. Our game is going to be, I'm just going to try and keep pressing that sitting bone. And every time I get to press that sitting bone, I'm like in the zone of passing. I'm ready to pass. Every time he frees it, it's like he's recovered his guard. He moves it back. He just doesn't let. So if I'm stepping, these hands are just here all the time. Yeah, so yeah, perfect. So like we're here, I'm just trying to get on the hips, and every time I lose that, I just move away from him. And I'll grab and so on. We can come onto the little sweep, but I just keep this away. I don't let this happen. And the moment this happens, I'm pushing this away. I want to maintain distance all the time and get back to having my feet on his iliacs. So can he hit me now? Can he hit me? No. Can he stack on my sitting bones? I'm keeping him out. He might switch sides here. Gonna try and clear those off. Yeah, I need to adjust. And that's gonna be our little drill. And if every time he makes a good connection here, he tells himself, I've just basically passed your guard. He doesn't need to pass my guard. It's done. I'm gonna be in recovery here. So he had that window to pass. So he's pinning. And if he gets two on here, by the way, how bad do you think this is? Yeah, he can punch me. He can literally sit on me and pass. This is done. So I want you managing these critical distances. No matter what guards you play, we could get into all of this or whatever. I want you thinking about that relationship. Yeah? So we're going to have one side just trying to pass for now. Well, when I say pass, I don't really care when you pass. I just want you to literally get to that point. You're like, ha ha, I passed, right? I got the pin. And every time you're just keeping that going, keeping that recovery. Yeah, let's give that a go. When should they lift their head up? When should they not? So Michael's got his back on the mat. He's got his back on the mat, and I'm here and beginning to try and pass. Right? His hands all the time, he's thinking about just constantly, wherever that foot is near that. If my foot isn't near his sitting bones, he doesn't have too much to worry. It's going to be very sort of predictable passes on the outside, usually. Because there's a load of distance. What do people do when they have distance? They try and cover it as fast as possible, right? We're not going to worry too much about speed for now. You'll start reading this coming. If you read it coming because they're back here, it's like, what have I got to worry about? Here he could even bring his knees back to him, get and ball up, right? And you could fall. But whenever your feet are on here and you're keeping this out, I want your head for now on the mat. I want you doing as little as possible. And Matt said last night about breathing. So you can, if you're here and you're in good position, like head on the mat, just filling your belly up with air. I'm not actually trying to do too much. It's my job to try and clear these off, and he can keep repummeling, right? Just staying calm, not trying to move. The only time you really want to worry about getting your head off the mat and balling tends to be either I'm completely disconnected, right? And I'm going to do something like this, right? So then he can ball. The other one is if I get to the side and I begin to pass. This is where I would ball up. Because again, he can replace. He can't really do much if I'm here without, put your head on the mat. If he's here, right, this is the problem. He needs the ball to recover. Yeah. And he squares up. But when you're here, I want your head on the mat, I want your hips up, and I want you just filling your belly with air. Not worrying about too much here, and just start noticing what your training partners are doing. Doesn't matter if they pass or whatever. You want to start building up a thing of how do my training partners typically pass. So I'm not trying to fight them. I'm trying to observe what they're doing. Like Matt said, care more about the jiu-jitsu, and don't worry about winning as much for now. Like, it's just not that important. You start observing games like this, you'll really improve. Because it almost doesn't matter what I do. You've got this secret formula that you know it's really simple that you prevent this. You move away. I get to the side, he balls up. But here, head goes to the mat, hips go up, and a lot of you are hitting naturally are just going straight to these push-pull sweeps, which is fantastic. This is loading this stuff up for you. Super simple. You're grabbing the heels. I'm watching a lot of you just grab the heels. Really, yeah, any of these variations. It could be 2 feet on, whatever. Yeah. So let's do it again. Think about the breathing. So nasal breathing. Fill my belly up, and I'm just here. And if they get past, it's fine. We just tap whatever they get to the side. We're practicing on balling. We're just working that thing all the time about denying these connections from maintaining our own. Yeah? Let's give it a go. Before that we address any misconceptions, I never say keep your legs completely straight, but people do assume that. So if Michael's in guard and he completely locks his legs out, like, you're not going to feel any control, right? But equally, I mean, to be honest, like this isn't, I mean, I can start causing problems because I want you to think about getting to sitting bones. I don't want you, I'm watching a few of you and it's like you get a little advantage and then you're scrambling like crazy. It's like speed. And what I want to get to is just like here, like, can he move here? All right, I'm in no hurry because I'm pinning his sitting bone. He can't move. I'm pinning his iliac crest, so his hip is thin. Yeah, so the legs are a little bit bent. They're not completely out, right? But like, he has control in the sense I can't really push him, and notice I stumble back. Every time I try, and if he's got good connection on this, a lot of the elements of like the ideas of control are like, we don't have control. We perceive we do, but like there's not control. It's just like, there's connection or there's not. So that's one thing. The legs are bent, right? His knees are really just in front of his hips. They're not straight. Yeah? And if I step anywhere near, he can grab my heel. Like we've talked about preventing to begin with, but he can grab. Right? He can grab. And now I'm in trouble. From here he has all the control. And I'm fighting to get back out of this. So legs are bent. Anything else on this? Any other questions, observations, anything on this at all? One of the things I want you to do now is we're going to focus on the breathing. And what you'll find is that some people will go with a lead. They'll go with a heavy lead. And from here, you can just start to put a De La Riva hook in. And I want you to be aware that when you put De La Riva in, there is a danger of this. And this is what I want you to understand with sports guns when you're playing them. But the same principles will make the De La Riva better. So a lot of the time when I see De La Riva instructionals, it's kind of assumed you know how to put De La Riva in. Maybe a guard you play or don't. But like understanding why these things start to happen is in my view, really important. So good De La Riva. We'll just stick this in because you'll start seeing it. Some of you will go butterflies and whatever. When I'm putting De La Riva in, so he's gone usually an extreme stance. If he stays square, go back. I'm never going to go to De La Riva. Where De La Riva occurs is where people go with an extreme stance. So fundamentally, what do I need to do? He's in my guard. My head and hips are going up. I'm going to place this foot around the back, and I'm going to bring my knee as close as I can to his sitting bone. That's the most important thing. I can try and grab his arm if he comes near me, set it up with that. I don't want to wreck his knees here. You've got to be a little bit careful with your knee ligaments. But like, try and move around now, Michael.
Pretty bad.
This is what we're aiming for. So I don't care about the 4 sweeps you need to learn off the De La Riva. If you have good connection here, like we've just been doing, like, you'll start sweeping people. You'll figure this stuff out because you just need to own basically this hook. Going through, I'm touching his iliac with my big toes on this side. I'm putting my head on the mat. I don't want to hurt his knee, but I'm basically trying to put my knee to that sitting bone. This leg can do whatever you want. You can start hooking here. You could be grabbing. You can put your feet on the hip. He's in no position to play because he's allowed me to connect, and I am connecting to his iliac crest on the front and his sitting bone on the back. I can take pretty much any guard that you give me along these lines, and I'll start with this as being the main focus. I don't care about the moves. I care about the connection. So we'll just play this here. We're just playing. He's gonna start feeding me these leads. You can just switch this back and forth in your own time. I'm not gonna call out. But like, we're playing all the same game, but he's gonna start feeding me an extreme lead. And every time he does, I'm just gonna think about getting to that hip bone, this iliac at the front, knee at the back. From here, I also have a back take. There's all sorts, but I just want you to start getting in and using these connections. Yeah, let's give that a go. Add that in. So start feeding them, kind of like isolation, but just start feeding them that foot in extreme stance. Yeah? See if you can start the De La Riva based on those principles. So time, guys. So look, I took this random guard that I don't really care very much about because I just like, it doesn't matter what the guard is, it's all about that iliac crest and that sitting bone. If when we start off with this, I let Michael do what we said, which is what all the MMA guys will do. They will pin sitting bones. This is gold. How good's my De La Riva right now, do you think? If he even lets me, how good is my De La Riva here, based on our assessment? Why is it not good? Yeah, not connected to his iliac crest. Look, I couldn't even stroke his iliac crest with my heel right now. I have no guard. Do I have any sitting bone connection here that means anything? No. So it's garbage. What's the first thing I've got to do to recover this position? I need to get my sitting bone free. So I just put my hand, it's the simplest thing I know to do. And now it's free. Can I put De La Riva in now? I can torture him here because I can get to his sitting bone, I can get to his iliac. And this is the game. So it doesn't matter whether you're striking, playing sport guards, any of this stuff, sitting bone and iliac crest is everything on the hip. That is what controlling a hip is about. And if you control a hip, you control their body. Yeah, who owns that control wins, that connection. Yeah? So some of you are doing a really good job in the drill of just killing De La Riva by simply getting so well connected in here that they can't even get a hook in. They're stuck. This is garbage. There's nothing here. And from here now, all Michael wants to think about doing is bringing his knee and heel together. Yeah. And I'm just done. Yeah. So, were there any questions, observations on that at all? On any of that when we were doing the sparring? So let's just start thinking about our hip extension. Because this is what we're really fighting over when we're doing this, is our ability to basically bridge. So when I'm in here, and I'm looking to get to this pin, I'd like two. And then from here, if you get to here, you're going to pass. It's almost like inevitable you will just pass just by moving near him, because you're pinning his sitting bones. So we're going to be here, we're freeing, we're looking to get here. If you get to here, it's just sprawl time. You're just sprawling in, chest to chest, it's done. Yeah? So when I'm stepping in on these, and he's trying to fight, let's say he does the De La Riva, I'm going to turn my foot out on it. And now I get the other sitting bone. So I'm just all the time thinking about gluing sitting bones. Yeah? Let's give it a go with your partner. Move back and forth in your own time. Any questions, any observations, difficulties, anything anyone wants to share? Anyone drunk?
When you're doing the De La Riva, the off leg, so you've got, let's say, for example, you've got your right leg wrapped around the back, and the left leg, better keep that by the ankle or up high.
So you can play around with this, but just use yourself. So what I will say to you on this is I just want you thinking that with this De La Riva, this is just an example, I don't really care about De La Riva, but this is how you, like, when you progress, this is how you can coach De La Riva a lot of the time better than somebody who is an expert at it, like does it at top level, is that they will still try and show moves. No matter what they say, they try and show moves and they don't focus on the connection. And what's essentially happening is, I'm using one leg. If I do this right, I am using one leg and I am taking out an iliac. My foot is right on his iliac. I'm turning him backwards. You see, he's actually giving me his back. And I'm bringing my knee into his sitting bone. So my one leg is basically enough to top him over. And now I'm just going to use that other leg to just attack him. Like I'd be throwing an overhand punch. I'm just going to like pepper it with trips.
Yeah.
Put my foot where I like. But that one leg is completely taking out his sitting bone and his iliac.
Yeah.
So 2 of his 4 kind of connection points, I'm in the plugs. And he has nothing on me in that moment. He has absolutely nothing on me. He's not near my sitting bones, he's not near my hips. My hips can come forward all the time. If you look at what we're really fighting over here is hip extension. I want to be able, because I want his feet in some kind of wrong position like here, and I can just push my hips forward and just punch him in the face. Or pass his guard. I'm so near him now, everything's on. Everything's on. When he's plugged in, yeah, don't let me near.
Okay.
Put your feet on. Just extend me away.
Yep.
I can't get anywhere near. This is what we're fighting over. What I really want is to be able to get my hips forwards. Now I am bridging. I'm bridging. I'm bridging. How's the pressure?
Yeah, decent, yeah.
You can't move, right?
Not really.
I'm just bridging. I'm doing the exact same thing to him from top that he wants to do to me. He's now in a ball and he can't extend his hips because they're pinned.
Yeah.
And I begin to pass and look cool.
Yeah.
So that's basically the kind of gist of this. Don't worry too much about the other leg, what to do with your arms. Just know that your knee is rammed in their sitting bone and your hip is being taken out. We're going to do this same game now from the knees. He's going to start with his, no, go on your back. He's going to start with his feet on my hips. What's the first thing I want to do here based on the first principles that we've just discussed? First thing I want to do. What's the first thing I want to do? Take his feet off my iliacs. Now we're evens.
Yep.
He knows instinctively this is kind of bad, right? What's the next thing I'm going to be thinking about here? Just on what we've done today. Sitting bone.
Yep.
How's your guard feel now?
Can't move that leg. Can't really move that leg, no.
Yeah. He's already, I'm passing. When I go here, I'm passing.
Yeah.
What if I start taking 2 sitting bones? How's your guard feel now?
No movement.
Yeah? How's your groins?
A bit fucking tight.
Yeah. I'm splitting it.
Yeah, splitting now.
I'm in no hurry to pass. If anyone, Casey did a seminar session here at camp, I think the year before last. If you ever roll with him, it feels like your crotch is just permanently being ripped. And he rarely passes. Like, when I say rarely passes, he will put you in this for 5 minutes or so, just sitting here.
Yeah.
Basically looking at you like this.
Like a stretch.
He's looking at you like this.
Nice.
And it's just, and that's all that happens. And you move, you go crazy, you try and push me away and whatever. And all he's constantly doing is switching his combat base and getting connected here. Oh yeah, I'm going to get really familiar on your sitting bone here. I'm pinning your iliac, and I'm putting weight here. Move around for me. Who's doing all the work?
Yeah.
And I'm just constantly thinking about taking all your space away at your hip joint. And I can pass at any moment here. This is like, it's kind of riding it. So that's all we're going to do to begin with. We're just going to repeat the drill on our knees with combat base. So feet on the hips. Yeah. If I come up here, could he De La Riva here? Yeah. He can think about doing things like this to me. How can he improve his De La Riva? We're all De La Riva experts now. How can he improve his De La Riva right now? Sorry? Lift his hips. Is he right on my iliac? I'd ask him that from coaching him. Are you right on the iliac? Yeah, go on. Now, that's the difference. Now I'm that half-inch adjustment.
Yeah.
I'm now putting my hand to the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he now grabs my heel, he goes, need to sit bone, go right on my pull me in. You got this? Yeah. Now put your knee on my sitting bone. Close. There's my sitting bone. Yeah, go on. Yeah. And now like, he can just do whatever he wants to me.
Yeah.
Unless I free that, I'm done. I'm in big trouble. And he can just play around. Doesn't matter whether he grabs my arm, does what he does with it, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah? So let's just start that on the knees. We're not going back to standing, and we're just going to play all the same game. Just back and forth with your partner. Yeah, you can move it in your own time, change it back, and then we'll bring it back and we'll go through again. Yeah, we'll go through, add some more on. Let's give it a go. Yeah. So time, just a little tip on this, right? This is like how you can be super competitive without being intense. If I want to compete with Michael and I don't want to work hard, I hate that idea. I just put I'll start with my elbows here. Some of you are like letting them start, like, I kind of said that, right? But being a bit of a dick, I just do this, right? And now I'm going to step up straight to a sitting bone. Because right now I'm making him start, it doesn't look like much. Touch hands, we're doing the drill. Matt's just called out the drill, whatever, start here. It's going to be here. Right? He's already in big trouble because I've simply made this 1-0 to me. And I'm really thinking now about what I want out of this, Frank will say the full buffet. But I'm just thinking now, I could just go 2 here. This is his problem to solve now. I know he's going to move and I'm going to bail on it. But now we're sort of thinking all the time, just in here. Just being on this iliac, just here. But I'm on the sitting bones and he's got no hips. He tries to push me away or whatever. This is going to be hard for him. Right? So that's something that I would recommend you always looking to do, is don't reach your arms out when trying to pass guard. Here. I'm here. He doesn't get my hips to begin with. He's going to have to figure out, this is where he would have to delahiva or do something. And now I'm going to start turning my knees out and I'm beginning my sprawl and I'm already signed pass. I just don't let it start. Yeah? Is there any other questions or anything on this at all? Anything anyone was struggling with when we went to the knees? Some of you were putting scissor guards in, which is great. Anything else on this?
Maybe a quick one. The delahiva from the knees. I noticed that I've got on there, right? But when you did it, and you took Glyn the way I would normally go to the left. So is there a preferred way to sweep for the delahiva?
All I want is I want you thinking about getting that foot wrapped on that iliac and thinking about the relationship, once you're here, of the knee to this sitting bone. The back take here, for example, he gets hit, yeah. This is already a huge threat. I'm in trouble. And it all comes off of this. If he's a little bit low on this, yeah, or he's hooking this near leg, like, I can deal with that all day. Yeah. I don't care about that. I care about it. It's here, I'm like, this is trouble. Because we're back to this bone. Just when it connects, it just stops my hips coming forward. I can't bridge, either top or bottom. It's just, I can't bridge. So, what we're going to do now, we'll just do a little bit on side, finish on some side control. Again, we're going to agree, elbow goes on his iliac, and my iliac goes on his iliac. So when he bridges, I'm heavy on his hip. He could be pushing me right now, whatever, right? I'm just here. This is where we're going to start. So we're going to start in this with this connection, okay? I'm in a sprawl right now. Actually, let's start this here. I'm going to start this way round with my feet in a pyramid. Note my knee and my heel are connecting, like this. Does anyone know what I'm preventing, Mike? There's 3 types of escapes. Call out, what are the 3 escapes that there are from side control always? What's the 3 escapes? Fundamental 3 and SBG. So the fundamental 3 that Matt will give, like it's not wrong to say shrimp or, whatever, but there's 3 basic objectives. He either wants to get to guard, he wants to get to a guard from here, right? Recover guard. Yep. He wants to be able to get to his knees. That's another one. So you got, say the underhook, he gets up to his knees, right? He starts to wrestle. And the third one is a reversal, right? So remind your coaches about this if you're not hearing it over time. Fundamental 3 of escapes, because it is kind of SBG framework and how we coach, because these are his 3 main objectives. So if I want to stop him shrimping, because he'll shrimp to pull guard, I'm just going to start with this configuration here. So if I don't want him to pull, you'll sometimes see people do this, but right now, whenever this is called a sit-out in wrestling, so I use wrestling terminology here, there is a sit-out, and there is a sprawl. That's the only thing really, like we could get into all of this. What am I in? Am I in a sit-out or a sprawl?
It's rather than a
sprawl, right? sit out. So right now I'm preventing him from doing what? Getting back to guard. If I switch my legs and I go into a sprawl,
Get his knees.
you can try and get his knees, but the main space is going to be guard recovery here.
Guard again.
Because the space is here. Look how easy this is.
Yeah.
Right? So we're just going to do a little drill here. I'm going to start in this sit out. I want you just seeing if you can pull guard here. Everyone see this here, how my legs are.
Yeah.
Right? You can be like this. I think this is good. Lots of people do it. I'd be like this. We can come on to Y in a bit. But I build these little pyramids. Pyramids are the strongest shape. Most of what we do in jiu-jitsu works around pyramids. Be here, Mike's just going to try to pull guard on it. By the way, my elbow is on his iliac, right? And my iliac is on his iliac. Sorry. And I'm just laying here, and he's just going to try and pull guard. I'm not floppy, but I'm not tense. Right? Anyway, just give it a go, experience it, humour me, and then we're gonna be looking for this all the time when we're on the bottom. We get our guard pass, it all's gone wrong, and we're thinking about, is this a sit out or not? Yeah? Let's have a little go at that. Just try and strip away, get guard in the sit out. You're facing his head. You're facing his head. Your elbow is on their iliac. Your elbow is on their iliac, and your hip is on their hip.